This week in a conversation, I have the privilege to welcome out of Scotland, Wendy H. Jones, award-winning, internationally renowned author. Uh, she's joining me, and it's going to be a first from Scotland, and I'm so excited about it. But before we get into this interesting conversation, I just want to take a brief moment to show you readers. This is Bittersweet Memories of Last Spring. And I intend to make a short little video where I would be reading a couple of pages for you. And the official launch is August 15th. Put that in your calendar. But before then, it will be available for distribution throughout all the retail platforms out there. And of course, the most popular one is Amazon. Okay, now, I also have to remind you, it's important to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And the best way to do so is to subscribe to it. And also, I like to hear what you say of this show or of this particular video. And if you find it is very much of interest to you, let me know in the comment box at the bottom of the video. And also, if you really like it, just give me a little like, of appreciation. So let's get started. Again, my name is Ardain Isma, and I'm here this afternoon with an impeccable writer, and I underscore the word impeccable. I'm here speaking with Wendy H. Jones. She's joining me from Scotland at first, so I'm so excited. So Wendy, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Okay. Now, but to officially get started, Wendy, could you please tell the viewers of Csms magazine who is Wendy H. Jones?
Oh, heavens, we could be here forever. But I'm Wendy H. Jones, and the H is important if you look me up on Amazon, because there's another writer called Wendy Jones, and I'm not her. And let's just say that her books are not the same as mine. We'll just leave it there, shall we?
Okay.
Anyway, because her books are completely different to mine. But I write crime books. I write crime thrillers, cozy mysteries, young adult mysteries, non-fiction books for writers, and children's picture books. I'm all over the place. I've got loads of things, and I'm also writing a historical fiction novel at the moment. Okay. So I've also been in numerous anthologies and things, mainly crime, but also in writers' anthologies as well. I'm from Scotland. I was born in Scotland, but I haven't lived in Scotland all my life because I joined the Navy when I was 18. Mm-hmm. And then I joined the Army. After I left the Navy, I joined the Army. And so I spent 23 years in the services.
Wow, that's long.
As a nurse. So I started out my writing career writing academic textbooks and things and articles for journals. And then when I retired from the military, I got problems with my lungs, and I was working in academia. I was the deputy director of a university faculty, teacher training, and I decided to leave. So I left and retired, but decided retirement was boring when you're young. So I started writing books, and the rest, they say, is history.
Okay. I know there was this history, and it is history still in the making,
Absolutely, yes.
I'm so proud of you, and I just wonder, how do you do it? But also, I think hard work always pays off because of your hard work and because of what you do to teach people, how to navigate through this, what we all come to call this sometimes difficult life. And you've gotten also a lot of praises. You are an award-winning international best-selling author. So that means your readers or people across the world, respond to your writing. And that itself, it's self-gratifying. you know. And but before we get into that, I there's one of your novels that really impresses me the most is Claymore Investigates. And it is a story of Claymore, a red-headed motorbike riding ex-ballerina who inherits a private detective agency and accidentally hires an ex-convict in a private detective agency. So could you please tell us how the story unfolds from here?
Well, Cass Claymore, I decided I wanted to write a book that was just crazy, a mystery book that was crazy. If anybody's read Janet Ivanovich's Stephanie Plum series, I thought I want to come up with a Scottish Stephanie Plum. So I just threw all the craziest things I could think in it. And she inherits this private detective agency. She's got no money because she's had to give up being a ballet dancer because she has an injury to her knee. And her uncle dies and leaves her this private detective agency. Well, all she'd done up until then was for a couple of months she'd shuffled around paper, in the private detective agency. So she's no clue about being a private detective. Then her best friend Lexi decides that she needs help. So Lexi, who finds gainful employment for ex-prisoners, decides that Quill, the ex-con dwarf, would be perfect match for her. So now you've got an ex-prisoner, somebody who's dallied in the life of crime, and somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. But Quill, he's very loquacious. He talks, long sentences instead of short sentences, and he drives her nuts. But he's about the only person that knows anything about solving crime because he's done crimes. So she has stuck with him, really. But all the women fall in love with Quill. All the women in the book love Quill. His name's Cameron McQuillerin, but he gets called Quill. And every woman falls at his feet, apart from Cass Claymore, who's like, what on earth have I got here, She also inherits a great big daft dog called Yakul. And Yakul is spelled Eagal, and pronounced Yakul, and it's Gaelic for terror. And the dog's a nightmare, doesn't pay a blind bit of notice to what she's got to say. So she's got this ex-con dwarf, and she's got this dog that's useless. And then her granddad tips up and says he's going to help her. So she's now got a pensioner on her hands. So there's three people and a dog in this investigation agency, and they don't know what they're doing. Then a lady called, there's a woman called Lady Lucinda, and I've forgotten her surname, but it doesn't matter. Comes and says that she wants her to find her son's missing antique teddy. So she goes on a madcap caper looking for it, not knowing what she's doing. She's got millions of crooks hanging about. They've all got crazy names like Nutjob Norm, and they all think they're the mafia, but they're all Scottish and they're all in Dundee, so they're all useless lumps. They're not the mafia at all. They're just a load of useless dossers, and it's just laugh out loud fun, really.
Let me ask you a question here now. Let's go back to the character Quill. You see, every single woman in the story falls in love with him.
Yeah.
Is there a particular reason why you?
Oh, he's so charming.
Character this way.
Yeah, he's so charming. He just strolled in. In fact, all the women in real life fall in love with him. All the women that read the book go. Well, in the first book's called Antiques and Alibis, by the way. It's a Cass Claymore investigation. Yeah, but all the women that read the book fall in love with him. But he kind of just strolled in and he said, "I'm your new character," and I went, "No, you're not. I don't know who you are." And he went, No, I am. And I went, "Oh, well, you could have a bit part." He went, "No, I'm a main character." And he just described himself to me. So Quill just strolled into my brain and knocked on the door, really.
And you know what? That was going to be my next question to you, Wendy. It is a question I ask every single friend who comes here to the conversation.
Yeah.
But you're already into it. Your characters normally, they talk to you, not just speak to you, but they just talk to you.
Oh, absolutely. They tell me off all the time. In my Detective Inspector Shona Mackenzie mysteries, I had her drinking wine and she said, "Nah, I drink whiskey." And I went, "Well, I don't know anything about whiskey." And she's like, "That's your problem. I drink whiskey."
Okay. So at that point on, you have no choice.
Yeah. Yeah, but they tell you.
Go with it. Go with whiskey.
Yeah.
Now let's get to something because I know I've read your biography, and at a very, very young age, you were addicted to reading.
Yeah.
And at the time where you grew up, you kind of really, I mean, you read pretty much all the books from that library, right?
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
were only 10 years old.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Was that a gift? Like, some people, they avid readers. They read and read. This like my sister. She can pretty much knock off a book of 500 pages within 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
Is that how you were growing up in Scotland?
Yeah. I'm still like that. I was a very fast reader. I was a very, very early reader. I could read when I was 3. I had a library ticket when I was 3. And I read my way through all the children's books by the age of 10. And to be honest, we had a lot of libraries in Dundee, but you were only allowed to use your closest one. You only got a library ticket for the closest one. It's not like that now. You can go to any library you want and get any books out of any of them.
Right.
We've got 15 libraries in Dundee, but I could only use one of them. So I'd read my way through all the children's books. So my mother convinced them to give me an adult library card, and I went on to reading adult mysteries, like Agatha Christie and things like that when I was 10. So, and I read all the classics before I was 12 because I didn't know any better. I just read them.
So how far is Dundee from Glasgow?
It's about 50 miles east of Glasgow and about 50 miles north of Edinburgh.
By the way, there's a story I wrote too. And one of the characters also went to school in Glasgow. So
right.
I really like that. So let me ask you something. So now, when you say you became an academic, so that was right after your military services, right?
Yeah, I was actually an academic when I was in the military. I was the head of pre-registration nurse education for the Army, Navy and Air Force. So I was running the pre-registration nurse education for all 3 services. And I was working in civilian universities, but running the military programs.
Okay.
And when I left and I stayed in academia, I got jobs.
Okay.
Teaching, and I went into teacher training. I was running teacher training courses. So yeah, I was an academic in the military and out of the military. Yeah.
Now let me ask you something here. Now, at some point, you decided to dive into the fictional world, began to write fiction. So, what was the trigger, if I may ask?
Well, I got very ill with my lungs, as I said, and I thought, oh, I'm too, life's too short for all of this. I was fine when I was sitting down, but if I stood up, my oxygen levels dropped. So I was doing a lot of sitting around. And I moved back to Scotland because I was down in England, and I moved back to Scotland, and I thought, oh, well, what can I do when I'm sitting down? I can read, or I could write a book. And I had an idea swirling around, and I thought, oh, well, I'll write it and see how it goes. Well, it actually went quite well, really. I mean, I had done some fiction writing before that, but I hadn't done anything with it,
Okay.
I had just left it, but I wrote stories when I was a child and things, but really fiction writing wasn't something. But then I read a lot of mystery, so it was mystery that I was going to go into, really. So my first book was Killer's Countdown, which is the first book in the Detective Inspector Shona Mackenzie mysteries.
Okay. Now let me ask you something, Wendy, because I know you've written so many books, and the first manuscript, when you conceived that one, what was the feeling?
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing when I finished it, because I thought, I can't believe I've actually written a book, but then of course the hard work starts because you have to edit it. Exactly. So there's a lot of editing goes into it. And then you have to send it to editors, and there's a lot more editing goes into it, etc., etc., etc. But when you actually hold the book in your hand, and this is the book, when you actually hold the book in your hand, you're like, oh my goodness, I really did write a book. You don't believe it till you've actually got the book in your hand.
Exactly. This is really, it's a sensation that can never be fully described, I would say.
No, that's right. It's indescribable, because unless you've done it, you don't know, where you're at. You don't know how it's going.
And now, because I know also, in between writing, and also reading. You've been doing so much. You on the social media. You are also a CEO of a company called Entrepreneur, I would say, I'm sorry, Accelerator Academy. So
Yeah.
what do you do in that? You teach young people?
Yes. No, what it is, it's for writers. So it's about the business of writing. So if anybody's a writer, they can join Entrepreneur Accelerator Academy. They'll get access to all the courses. They get once a month group, coaching call. They get access to me. They can ask questions. There's lots of different modules and courses in there about all the different business of writing. I add to them every month. So it's a monthly membership. You pay per month and you get a lot of input and a lot of, and it's every single aspect of the business of writing, from starting writing to running your business to publishing to social media to marketing, everything that you need to know about running your own author business.
Okay, so anyone who signs onto this course will ultimately walk away with all these.
Yeah, you can stay for life, the lifetime of the academy. You can stay, and you've got access to all these resources.
That's interesting. That is interesting, because you know what? One of the biggest hurdles when it comes to writers, in particular indie writers, is the marketing power that needs to be behind a book in order for it to be successful.
Yeah. Well, I run a marketing course as well that people can do as a standalone course. They can just buy the course, and it's all about marketing your book. I've written a book called, see if I can find it, Marketing Matters, which is all about marketing your book as well. But the course takes it a lot further than that. It takes it a lot further and gives you everything you need to market your book. Yeah.
But there's something they talk about when it comes to online marketing. I hear a lot of writers talk a lot about keywords when because if the book is not empowered or is not being wired with the right keywords, I would say, then it may not get to where it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. Keywords are crucial because keywords are what gives you the right search engine optimization. So the keywords are basically what your ideal reader would be typing in if they were looking for a book on what you're writing. Yeah?
Okay, so could you give us?
For history, it could be history. It could be.
Yeah, could you teach the audience a little bit about, just give the audience just a little sneak preview. How can a keyword be effective?
Yeah, well, keywords are effective because it's what they're typing in. So if I was going to look for a book and say it was a crime book, but I might search for crime fiction, or I might search for crime book, or I might search for crime thriller, or I might search for Scottish crime, or crime fiction, or it's all these different keywords are what somebody might put in if they're looking for your book. So the more keywords you put in, the more likely you are to reach your ideal reader. Now, if you're writing a fantasy book and it's only got 1% crime and the rest of it's fantasy under a hashtag of crime fiction, you're not hitting the right audience. Because what people will do, it's got a bit of crime in it, so I'll put it under crime, or it's got a little bit of fantasy in it, so I'll put it under fantasy. But then that reader doesn't like you. That reader doesn't like the book because it's not got enough of what they're actually wanting to read. Yeah? So you need to make sure you've got the right in order to hit the right readers. And when it comes to history, you obviously need to narrow it down, Scottish history, naval history. This is the book I'm writing is about Scottish history, naval history. So that's why I'm saying it. Scottish history, naval history, Caribbean history, because it takes in the Caribbean. Far East history, because my character goes to the Far East. European history, Irish history, century history, all of that, medical history, because he's a doctor. All of that, it encompasses all of that, but it will have enough of that in it for any reader to enjoy. Yeah. So whatever any reader is looking for. So you've got to find your market, you know, when you're doing the search engine optimization.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So I mean, it seems like you were pro on this one too. You know, there's one more thing because I know you also you have a podcast
Yes.
where you interview authors, right? Basically, authors.
Yeah.
Okay. So how if someone really wants to get to listen to your podcast, how does it get? Let's say, how do I get through it? Through your
Right. It's
website?
really easy. I'm on all, you can get it through my website. It automatically links to my website. So you can go there and you'll see podcasts. You can click on them, or you can go to any podcast, you know, you can go to Stitcher, you know, Alexa, Amazon, you know, you can tune in, Apple Podcasts, you name it, you know, Spotify, all of the podcast stations. You just type in the Writing and Marketing Show. So the Writing and Marketing Show, and that's what it is. Now it's for authors, not readers. It's for writers so that they can actually learn about the business of writing.
Right.
But readers, they like to know what writers are doing. You know, they like to know what's happening. So I interview writers about that. And then at the end, I interview them about their books as well. So the first 3/4 of it is about writing and marketing, whatever topic we're discussing this week.
That's interesting.
For example, yesterday I interviewed someone and we were talking about book cover design. Then at the end, I ask about the books that they've written and we chat about the books that they've written as well.
That is interesting. You know what, Wendy? I don't know how you do it. This is my next question. How do you do all of this? Because you just like it's just like one of the birds, maybe one of the Floridian birds was called the mockingbird, you know, flying from branch to branch, you know, on the hunt for the elusive high altitude, because you know you never stop. You are the podcast, you are the social media, you control all the major ones from Twitter to Facebook to are you also on Reddit? Because you're on TikTok. That's where we met, right?
Not on Reddit. I'm on TikTok, Goodreads, Instagram, Pinterest. I'm on them all.
Is there any particular reason why you're not on Reddit?
I've never thought of it, to be honest. It's just never entered my head. There's no reason I'm not on it. I just never thought of being on it. Maybe I should be on it. I'll write that down. I'll do it next.
Okay. You still find the time. You will still find the time, Wendy, to be in it and be effective. Because one of the things when it comes to social media, you have to have the time to devote. You know, you need to devote some time to it to be effective.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Could you teach the audience a little bit? How do you divide your time between writing, between your podcast, between coaching? How do you discipline yourself? Because you're very successful at doing that. How do you do that?
Obviously, to be honest, I'm a bit of a butterfly, really. I can jump around, but I will focus to a task. If I've got a task, I'll focus on it and I'll complete it. Yeah. I'm very good with deadlines. So I'm very good at doing things at the very end of the time. You know, you could have 3 years to do something. I'll do it the fortnight before it's due, you know. So I'm very, very good with deadlines because the pressure, if I've got pressure, I work better. But it's I write a to-do list and I work my way through it. And if you manage to tick 3 small things off your to-do list, you feel good. So you'll focus to something longer. I will, try, to be honest, I'm very good at, if I'm sitting down, I'll do a bit of social media or I'll do a bit of writing. If I'm in a cafe, I'll take my laptop, I'll do some writing. There's lots of different things that I'll do. I can write anywhere. So I write on planes, I write on trains. I don't write in cars because I'm usually driving them, and I don't write on buses because I get car sick. But but trains, planes, airports. I mean, I'm flying to the States on Monday. I'm flying out for a 2-month book tour, so I'm going to be around the States doing a book and speaking tour.
Not in Florida, huh?
No, I'm not going to Florida, unfortunately. I wish I was. I wish I was. I'm going to Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, Washington, D.C., and New York.
Okay, that's interesting.
Well, yeah, I'm going to those different
2 months,
places.
right?
2 months, yeah. So I'll write on the plane, I'll write at the airport, I'll write at the hotel the night before I fly out because I'm staying in a hotel at the airport in Edinburgh. So I'll write whenever I can, really. Where, you know, if I got a spare minute, I'll sit and write.
And you know what? There was one problem that I used to have. I don't have it anymore with my wife because I was so addicted to writing. We could be at a restaurant, you know, while we're waiting to be served, and I'm jotting down information that says, I want my attention. Do you see what I mean? There's always a little bit of bickering in that because, you know, I do it without realizing it, you know, you see what I mean? And I know, I thought I was the only one like this, but most writers I talk to, they talk the same thing.
Yeah, they do.
So we get into the end of our conversation. I just want to ask you one thing. I know as a writer, we also human. At the beginning, was there, because I know you read a lot since your teenage years. So was there any particular author who inspired you to become such an impeccable writer as you are today?
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote the Sherlock Holmes books.
Really?
A fellow Scot. I love Sherlock Holmes and Agatha Christie, who isn't Scottish, she was English, but I kind of cut my teeth on them. So, you know, definitely.
Is that a fantasy writer?
No, they're crime.
Oh, the crime writer.
Sherlock Holmes was a detective.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So I know that also as we human. So besides writing, what other hobby that you have, Wendy?
Well, I love traveling. I love reading. And I like cooking and I like eating out.
You do?
Okay.
Yeah.
And I like swimming.
Okay. Then you should come to Florida then if you like swimming.
I love Florida. I've been 9 times to Orlando.
Really? Okay. Orlando.
I've been to Orlando 9 times, but I've also been another couple of places in Florida, but I can't remember where, but they were on the coast.
Okay.
And I've been to Key West twice.
Okay.
Well.
So I know now. I know you love the beaches. I know.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned you love cooking. Is there any particular cooking that you really love to do?
If I really get time, I'll do, you know, I like to make steaks with different sauces and things, or I'll make a curry or chili or something like that. You know, I like doing all of that. I like spicy food.
Okay.
I've lived all over the world. So because I've lived all over the world and I've traveled all over the world, I like ethnic food. I like food from other places. I'll try everything. I've even eaten Wichita grubs in Australia.
Really?
I'm not entirely sure I would do that very often, but I'd give it a go.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been to the Caribbean?
I have been to the Caribbean. I got back from Antigua. I've been on a cruise 3 times to the Caribbean, but I got back from Antigua, where I was there for 2 weeks doing research for my historical novel. I got back 6 weeks ago. Yeah, 8 weeks ago. Yeah.
That's interesting. So you've been all over the world, and now as a person also, do you enjoy listening to music? Sometimes.
Oh, I love listening to music. I listen to lots of different music. I mean, to be honest, I don't listen to anything very modern, I have to say. I'm getting a bit long in the tooth to be listening to the modern music, but I like, you know, I like the boy bands. I like Scottish country music. I like American country music. I like, you know, ballads, rock music. I listen, you know, Meatloaf, people like that. I love them, you know, or him, should I say. Lots of different things. I listen to things widely. I listen to Christian music as well because I'm a Christian. So lots of different things I listen to.
But if you were to put on some music while writing, while you and your writing den writing, so what would it be?
Well, it depends on whether I'm writing my thriller or my comedy or my young adult or whatever. If I'm doing the thrillers, it would definitely be Meatloaf, the real heavy. You know, it's a bit lighter for the Claymore books. You know, I might listen to some country because they're all crazy. They're all doing daft things in country things. You know, the young adult ones, I might listen to a little bit more modern music because I have to. And the children's picture books, well, they just write themselves, really. I've got a lovely, you know, children. This is the only children's picture book where you'll see a water buffalo in a kilt. So this is Bertie the Games. Bertie the Buffalo is the first one. This is the second one. But if you turn the back, he's wearing a kilt because he's representing Scotland at the Worldwide Games, which is meant to be the Olympics, but it's the Worldwide Games we've called it, so I can put him in a kilt.
Okay, my finally last question, Wendy. You know what? We could talk forever. I just want to let you go. But, you know, as every good thing in life, you know, there has to be an end to it. But before we go, my last question, is there any lesson, Wendy, you want to give to the audience, to anyone who will be watching us now in this humble conversation about discipline when it comes to writing? Because I know you're doing so many things. So what lesson would you give to that person?
Well, first of all, the first thing is believe in yourself, because a lot of the reasons people don't write is because they don't believe in what they're doing. So believe in yourself and then put time in your diary, sacred time, writing time, and utilize it. But write anywhere as well. If you're sitting in the car waiting to pick the kids up from school, write. Do it on a notepad. Do it on your notepad on your phone. You can just copy and paste it later. If you're sitting in the dentist surgery, write. I was sitting waiting for an appointment at the hospital. I was writing. You know, write all the time, and then you all those little bits add up. They add up.
Okay. You know, on that wonderful note, I just have to say it's been more than a pleasure to have award-winning international best-selling author Wendy H. Jones this afternoon in the conversation.
Thank you.